Well, joining us now is Bill Walsh. He's a director with Third Mutual, and every Monday we get a chance to meet some of the directors from Third Mutual. Thanks for joining us on the program today.
Good to be here, Paul.
We have a couple of talking points. We want to get into renewable energy, but you also have some information, and I guess mosquitoes are on the lurk here.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about those a little bit in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll talk about mosquitoes and some renewable energy. What do you want to talk about first?
Right. I just wanted to let everybody know that we have an opening on the Third Mutual board, and the application deadline is going to be Thursday, February 9th at noon. So if you are entertaining any ideas that you would love to join us, please submit your application. Applications you can get on the second floor here at the
General
Manager's office,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And the administrative assistant there can help you with that.
How long is this term?
This term, I knew you were going to ask that, and I believe I couldn't get a hold of anybody to figure out. I think it might be the 3-year term that was vacated. We've actually had four board members come and go since October.
Wow.
Mainly for health reasons, either in the family or themselves. Yeah. And so hopefully this will be the end of it, and we can do it. We're going to make a selection for that board member just before our Tuesday, February 14th, Finance Committee meeting. It's going to be an open meeting. It's going to be in the Sycamore Room, and that's Valentine's Day.
Right.
So please come if you're interested and to watch the proceedings.
Right.
As everybody knows, the boardroom downstairs, or hopefully everybody knows, the boardroom is going to be under renovation. So we're going to have our big meetings like the board meeting and some of the others over at City Hall.
Right. Now you've been involved with the governments for, I would say, about
17 months.
17
months.
But
who's counting? But 17 months, 4 days.
But you were an advisor at some point, because I remember seeing you at least some of the committee meetings before that, and that really got you to become more involved at the board level.
Paul, that's true. I was an advisor on the Energy Committee for a couple of years before I ever wound up being on the board.
Exactly.
And that's probably a good way for you to get your feet wet.
Absolutely.
If you're interested in being on a board.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good point.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Speaking of energy, let's go ahead and talk about some of the solar programs that have been going on in Third Mutual, and that program seems to be pretty successful so far.
Well, yeah, we've got several programs through either conservation or solar, solar with electricity generation. Give you an update on that. We were supposed to be totally complete with the installation by the end of December, and the manufacturer, SunPower, failed to deliver the last small few pieces for the last building. Wow. So 11 of the 12 buildings are completed. The installations are all there. We're supposedly got the racking and the panels to put on the 12th building. We supposedly got them on Friday. I was in talking to staff this morning, and nobody knew at that point whether they had actually come. But Solar Optimum hopefully will be back soon to complete that installation. The city has looked at almost all of the installations, the inspector, and has given the okay on them. Now we're going to be in the waiting game with Southern California Edison. Okay, a lot of paperwork in order to distribute this electricity that we're going to produce. We've had to allocate it to a lot of different meters in the community, and that's a lot of paperwork.
Right.
So they can, it's administrative paperwork. Apparently, and I didn't know this until this morning when I talked to Ernesto Munoz, that there are several levels in Southern California Edison that all of this goes through, and one of the levels that they're into right now with some of the buildings is at the engineering side, and we've gotten some feedback. We haven't seen the numbers that on a couple of the transformers, Southern California Energy, Southern California Edison transformers, the load that we're going to put on there is in excess of what they feel that transformer can handle. So we either go with an upgrade and pay for it. Southern California Edison isn't going to pop for that. They're a for-profit organization.
Right.
Or we'll take some of the panels off. And then redistribute them somewhere else. Right. So we can lower the load. But until we get numbers from them, we're in the quote unquote dark.
Exactly. Yeah.
About what's going on there.
Yeah.
But everybody along the way, staff, the city, Solar Optimum, these people have all been very professional about this,
Right.
and it's been done well. If
Yeah.
you go over and look at one of the installations, it's, you know, it doesn't look, it looks very nice and neat
Absolutely.
and to the point.
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty happy with that aspect of it. We are not very happy with that SunPower
Right.
has delayed, you know.
Yeah, and that was probably because of the racking more than anything, because they seemed like the aluminum or the steel that they're waiting for to rack the panels were always kind of delayed because there's a big, request to get that kind of material, and that might hold them up a little bit.
I think it did.
Yeah.
I think that's where it was.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, this week, hopefully, or by the end of next week,
And I remember I did solar about 8 months ago, and we waited a really long time for Edison because they have to approve it and actually basically get you off the grid in a way. And I'm thinking, well, they're not going to be in a big hurry to do that because they're losing customers every time they hit that switch. But it's part of the paperwork that needs to get done in the approval process.
I have solar too, and I agree. They're not really excited about losing the revenue. On the other hand, I'll make a pitch here. My wife and I leased an electric car and are driving around. We love it. I think everybody watching this program should at least go down to a dealer and hop in an electric car and drive it. I have fun at a stop sign sitting next to a Corvette. I can remember the day I was sitting there next to a guy. He had his girlfriend in the car. And I left the line, and I took off on the line. I'm not necessarily a drag racer, but I just took off on the line. And I left him in the dust.
Yeah.
It's a small car. It's got
Right.
an e-Golf. It's a Volkswagen Golf. And I can't go very fast.
Right.
But from 0 to 40 or 50,
Right.
it's just
It's
fast as blazes.
Exactly.
And I'll be darned if he just didn't go roaring by me.
Oh, yeah.
I think I embarrassed him.
Exactly.
Folks, I don't do that often.
Yeah.
But it was.
I have a question regarding that because you hear people getting into electric vehicles, and then you use the plug-in.
That's right.
So does your electric bill go up dramatically, or do you find it? Obviously, it's less than gas.
It's definitely less than gas. I also have a 9-year-old Honda Accord, and I gas it up once a month now. But my wife and I run all our errands. We run, because we do most of our travel within 10 miles of home on a day basis, unless we take a trip. Yeah. And I wouldn't recommend an e-Golf if it's going to be your only car if you want to travel far.
Right.
But I certainly think everybody should try them. So that segue into that is that Southern California Edison is going to be supplying electricity to a lot of people. And it takes 1 kilowatt of energy to get 4 miles on a car, okay, at this point. And so my energy bill has gone up, but I have solar, so I'm not feeling the pain too much. It's probably gone up 25 to 30% on my regular bill.
Right. Well.
So anyway, we digressed into that pretty easily.
Well, that's okay. Well, that can get us into the policy change over at Third regarding people that are utilizing those plug-in electric vehicles.
Right. 16 months ago, when we set a policy, we asked people for a $300 down payment. Those people who park in carports and underground garages to get a decal. And we said, a year later, we're going to look at your odometer. We're going to take an odometer reading when you pay us, and we're going to take one after a year. And we're going to divide by 4 and figure out what electricity you used. Well, it just hasn't worked out. There is nobody on staff right now that they're going to say, what?
Right.
And so we just decided we're just going to do like we do with golf carts. We're going to have a flat fee, everybody pays it.
Right.
Which reminds me of the 10 or 12 people or 14 people that came in and put your $300 down over the last year. Please come in, get your odometer read, get your money back if you haven't traveled that many miles, and then you can pay for the new decal for the $240.
Right.
So anybody that's listening out there, if you know somebody in that situation or you yourself, please come in and get that taken care of.
Yeah. And what about the solar-powered LED streetlights that are going up now?
Okay, we have one on Farrell. It's a temporary light. Some people have said, that pole doesn't look very good. Well, it's temporary, but it's really working well, even on cloudy days. I've driven by there at night after, when we had all this rain and stuff, and it was on. So I was really impressed with its ability to even be charged and capture the sun. Yeah. But we're going to have another one supposedly this week from a different vendor, put on either Societe or Cabildo. Now, a lot of people may not know where those streets are, but they're over by the towers. They're little connecting streets. Faro connects Sociego with Paseo del Lago west, and Cabildo connects Sociega to Bahia Blanca.
I hope
west.
you're writing
Anyway,
all of this down.
you write all this down.
It's
right?
hard to find a
So
cul-de-sac
anyway,
in this community.
Exactly, it is. Well, one of the things that influenced how we set these lights up just to see was their access to the sun.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and we have a lot of, you know, I didn't know until we started looking at this. We have a lot of big trees in this community that
absolutely.
throw a lot of shade.
Right.
You know, and
Absolutely.
most of us moved here for the sun.
Right.
Now we're shading everybody.
Right, they just did the whole landscape committee, and there's 30,000 trees in the community, something
Yes,
like that. Yeah,
tremendous.
amazing.
And you know, and some of them have gotten pretty big over 50 years.
Absolutely.
I've got one sitting next to my front door that I
Yeah.
was a little worried about when the Santa Ana winds kicked up here a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So on your plug-in electric vehicle, come in and get it taken care of. Okay.
And then let's talk about SE has some street light outages, and then what is the Mutual doing regarding some of those outages?
I just looked at the report. We've got 37 streetlights that are out right now that have been reported to SCE. Some of that, the earliest reporting right now is back in August of this year, so they've been out for 5 months, and that's particularly through winter. That's not a good thing. We've been talking to the SCE representative, and it's one of the reasons that's motivating us to go out and purchase all these lights. And that's a segue into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. We signed up for $10,000 in September to study and look at, have SCE study and come back to us and tell us how much it would cost us to buy their streetlights. There's 788 of them in Third Mutual. And basically the number's around 250 grand to buy them all, okay? One of the things that is motivating this, besides the fact that they're slow to take care of the outages, is that we had them look and tell us what it would take to put LED lighting on all the streetlights, and putting arms so they could extend out over the street to give us more light, because if you've driven around here at night, it's pretty dark.
It is.
And when you see people walking on sidewalks with flashlights, you know you've got a problem.
Right.
So they came back to us and said, sure, we'll put LED lights in, but you have to sign up for 20 years and we're going to raise your tariff on each light. So again, Southern California Edison is a for-profit organization, and it's not going to do things that they can't make money off of.
Absolutely.
So our thought is over the next 10 years, we could save not only money from the electricity less electricity, but the fact that we would have better light.
Yeah.
And, you know,
And control.
Right. And so we're still talking about, as a board, we've got to go through, I mean, we beat ourselves up over even getting solar, so
Right.
we'll have some debates about this.
Yeah. And the city owns some lights in the community as well, don't they?
They
Is that
do.
part of United, or is that Third that they
They're
own
in
some
Third,
of the lights?
as a matter of fact. And we're not so sure we want to take on the cities, but we'll probably talk to them about this too. And we're trying to induce them to go ahead and put LED lights in, you know, just to see how they look, because we can't go to an SCE light pole and put an LED light on it.
And you know the difference between the SCE light poles and the city light poles?
Yeah, they're definitely, because the city knows what they're getting billed for.
Okay.
And most people, if you go up in one of those light poles, particularly the concrete aggregate ones, there's a little metal tag that's got a number on it,
okay.
and you can look at it, and they know
Oh, yeah.
they know who's paying the bill.
They want to pay, for
That's
their own
right.
share, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, it'll be an interesting process in the next
Right.
couple of years. Yeah.
Right. So I wanted to mention one other thing.
Okay.
Those people who live in 3-story buildings over in Gate 5 and 6 right now, they already know if they've had their old incandescent and CFL lights changed out with these new LED lights. We found a fixture that one size fits all for putting in breezeways, walkways, and the laundry rooms in Third. And there were 28 buildings over in 3-story buildings between Gate 5 and 6. And we've done 18 of them, and so we've got 10 more to go. Once we're finished with that, we've already done Gate 14, all the 3-story buildings there. We'll move over to the 3-story buildings in between Gates 9 and 10.
Great.
And so it's really, we've got nothing but rave reviews for that. A couple of people have come to us and said, you know, it's pretty bright in my bedroom and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're talking about maybe possibly getting a diffuser,
Right.
another diffuser to tone down the light. But most people are
Much better,
ecstatic
yeah.
because they can see where
They
they're
can
walking
see,
at night.
Exactly.
You know?
That's always been an issue in this community forever and ever, was
Yeah.
just the lighting in the sidewalk and the breezeway areas.
Right.
Absolutely. Hey, before we let you go, we want to talk about mosquitoes. I guess,
Right.
especially with all the rains that we've had in the last couple of weeks, it's important that we don't keep standing water around.
That's right, and I wanted I'll talk about these in a minute, Paul. There's a new mosquito that's come into the area. It's called Aedes aegypti. That's the name, the scientific name, but it's called a tiger mosquito.
Okay.
And they're very stealthy. They don't do that buzzing sound that a Culex mosquito makes when it, and they bite during the day. They bite, and they're very aggressive. And they're the mosquito that will carry Zika virus, and they will carry yellow fever or dengue fever. And one of the things that we went and looked at is if you've got standing water somewhere, first of all, you should turn over your pots, get rid of any standing water. But if you've got other areas where you've got plantings or things that like bird baths and things like that have water sources for these mosquitoes, there's something called mosquito dunks. And mosquito dunks you can buy at any box store, like Lowe's or Home Depot. And it's a natural bacillus that attacks the larvae, and it attacks the intestines of the larvae of the mosquito and kills them before they ever get to adult stage. And I always say, if you're ever messing with I'll call it pesticides or chemicals like that, definitely follow the instructions. I have ponding on my flat roof. I know there's water up there. If I'm a mosquito magnet, and if I ever start getting bitten, I'll know to run up and have somebody come over and drop those in, because that
They're
can be a
probably
problem.
reasonably priced as well.
They are. I think that cost me, I don't know, 10 bucks.
Yeah, exactly.
What I want to add also on that stores, if you find yourself being bitten by mosquitoes during the day, the Orange County Vector Control folks would like to know, because they'll come out and look for the source. They're
Right.
very, very concerned about, it's not so much the mosquito right now, but as we have more immigration into the country, if you have people traveling into the country from tropical areas, if they're coming in with those diseases and they get bit by one of these mosquitoes, you all of a sudden have a mosquito as a vector in there, and we already saw what happened in Miami, so we don't want any of that here.
And that mosquito does look like a tiger. It has kind of the black stripes if you happen to be quick enough to smack one.
You got it.
And actually keep it if you can, and maybe give it to Vector Control so they can keep an eye on that.
It's great. And in fact, just go to OC Vector Control on the web, and you can find them. I could give you phone numbers, but it's not appropriate.
We'll have them. We'll be sure and make sure that if you have any questions, give us a call here at the station. We'll get you that information, or give City Hall a call as well, and they'll be sure and get you OC Vector as well. Thanks so much for sharing a lot of information today. We went all over the place.
Yeah, I did.
Mosquitoes, lights,
Right.
solar. But that's the great thing about having the directors come on and discuss with our viewership, what's going on in their mutual. And it's important that they also become a participant. So for those of you that can, come and devote your time here for the mutual, they will be looking for that candidate, and be sure and come on over to the general manager's office located on the second floor, and they'll have you fill out a very short application, and it's very worthwhile.
It is. It's if you've got a passion for this,
Let's do it.
We'd love to see you.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us on the program. We'll be back with more of our program right after this.